presenting on fostering the therapeutic alliance through a trauma-informed lens. So here's what we'll cover today. We'll talk a little bit about the practicum site I was at. We'll talk about what trauma-informed care is, creating a safe space with clients, fostering resilience through music, and self-awareness and intentionality for music therapists working with traumatized individuals. So a little bit about Housing Catalyst. It is a permanent supportive housing community that has been in Fort Collins since 2021 and has 60 apartments. Our group had 3 core clients with a rotating mix of 1 to 5 clients. These were adults living with psychiatric and or physical disabilities and were formerly unhoused. So we can assume trauma and adopt a trauma-informed care lens. But what is trauma-informed care? So the first tenet of trauma-informed care is safety. This is our first priority. You can't explore trauma if you don't feel safe. The second tenet is trustworthiness and transparency. Survivors might have a hard time with trust, especially survivors of interpersonal trauma. So you need to be an honest and reliable source for them. Number 3 is peer support. Trauma impacts the interpersonal world, so we're helping rebuild that sense of community that was lost. Number 4 is collaboration and mutuality. We want to mitigate power dynamics to avoid re-traumatization and remember that clients are experts in their own lives. Number 5 is empowerment, voice, and choice. We want to restore that sense of control and empowerment that was lost to trauma by taking a strengths-based approach, letting clients lead where possible, and providing choices where we can. Number 6 is cultural, historical, and gender issues. Trauma doesn't happen in a vacuum, neither does recovery. We need to understand how identities impact the trauma itself, recovery, treatment approaches, and group dynamics. Through a trauma-informed care lens, we redefine problematic behaviors as the survivor's best and most resilient attempt to manage, cope with, and rise above their experience of trauma. We don't want to pathologize them, we want to re-empower by focusing on and fostering strengths. So creating a safe space with clients. This is a collaborative process that is ongoing. We want to mitigate power imbalances in the therapist-client relationship and also in client-to-client relationships. We want to assume competence by providing therapeutic challenge without violating boundaries. An example of this is one of our clients was hesitant to try out an improvisatory experience. After some verbal encouragement, he did really well with this experience and enjoyed it. You want to give clients appropriate space to process their thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You want to give choices throughout session while honoring the level of participation that clients are willing to meet you at. You want to have a safety or de-escalation plan. We had one of these written out and we did use it. You want to help clients understand that they aren't crazy by normalizing symptoms. Often there's a level of psychoeducation to this. Exactly. Next slide. Fostering resilience through music. There's multiple ways to do this. Choice, providing a variety of different instruments for receptive experiences and song discussions. 3 to 4 song choices so that clients have an option without being overwhelmed by like 7 to 8 choices. Self-expression and improvisation, encouraging clients to play what they feel. There are no wrong notes. In songwriting, with client consent and letting them lead, you can help them regain a sense of control over their trauma by integrating those traumatic experiences into songwriting. For song discussion, you want to ask open-ended questions and clarify and validate where appropriate. I'm not going to get into check-ins because I'm going to show you that later. We also want to foster connection between clients and with us and clients. We want to build rapport through authenticity, intentionality, and empathy while managing conflict and prioritizing group safety. Empowerment, we want to actively listen to clients when they share a traumatic story with us. We want to celebrate their strengths. An example of this is 2 of our clients in particular contributed quite a lot to our songwriting experience, and every time this experience came up, I reminded them, if you have any feedback, please feel free to let me know. You contributed a lot to this song. All right, self-awareness and intentionality. Never mind, I needed that one. Surprise! You're a person too. And being exposed to others' trauma puts you at risk for secondary trauma. So taking care of yourself is vital to a sustainable career. Also, remember that we live in a capitalistic, individualistic culture, and we're often forced to be out of touch with our bodies, minds, and needs, and we need time to slow down. Self-care is not always a bubble bath. It might be sometimes, but self-care is holistic. You need to nurture your body, mind, and soul at all levels. And knowing what you need to do to take care of yourself will help you be a better therapist, a more centered and intentional therapist in session. And that starts with awareness of your trauma history, trauma responses, and grounding techniques that you can use before, during, and after session. I highly recommend going to therapy. This will help you with everything on this slide. An example of when I was activated in session and how I dealt with it is I saw a client in an active manic episode. I felt my heart race. I felt myself start to sweat. I felt my mind starting to go blank. So I engaged in some deep breathing that I know works for me. I made sure my feet were flat on the ground. And I know visualization works really well for me. So I imagined myself holding the memory that came up and putting it in a box, locking the box to be unpacked later. You need to remember that you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself first. And with that, I will ask my lovely pre-selected volunteers to come up. Ooh. All right, everyone's gonna need a chair. Did I select?
Did you get too many? Is Nina?
4 is fine. 4 is fine. We can do 4. Okay. Let's rock and roll. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to group today. So, today I want us to start out with an exercise where we are going to play what we feel on an instrument of our choice. And then we are going to tell everyone what emotion we were playing. So when you're ready, please select one of the instruments from our choices. Sorry, they're on the ground. Absolutely, you're allowed to take the drum. All right. All right. So I'm going to start out to provide an example. And join me when you're ready. 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. So I'm feeling a little anxious today. So that's what I was playing on my paddle drum. Haley, would you mind going next for us? I'm glad to hear that, Haley. All right, Kay, would you mind going next for us?
Is it okay if I go a little fast?
You play whatever you feel. I'm glad we can sit in that together. All right, Max, would you mind going next?
Sure.
What were you playing for us, Max?
Disoriented.
Disoriented. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for sharing. Nina, last but not least. process?
Kind of the back and forth of the chaos and the plotting through life.
And now that we've come to the end of our session, I want us all to hold a steady grounding beat together. And we're all going to go around and everyone's going to say one thing that they love about themselves. I love that I'm creative.
I love that I'm resilient.
Silly.
Caring.
Beautiful. 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Thank you to my lovely volunteers. You can all feel free to go sit down. Thank you, everybody. That's it for me. And, oh yeah, here's what we covered. We talked about my population. I told you about what trauma-informed care is, creating a safe space with clients, fostering resilience through music, and music therapist, self-awareness, and intentionality. Now here are my references. Also, thanks.